Breakfast Club. Jimmy popping all that. I be seeing you, Jimmy, talking about we Gucci boo boo. He in the Gucci store. Talking about we Gucci boo boo. The Black King they was going you up, Jimmy. They was like, Marita Monero.
Jones, right? He ran with the same I ran with a decade before I met him. Jim Jones, the Dipset, the that was just over there dancing and on verses. Jim Jones was running with Shotty, Cafano Jordan, right? Mel Matrix, Jamel Jones, Roland Martin. He was running Fu Banger, Fuquan. I forgot his last name, Fuquan something. He was running with all of the cats.
50 Cent just won't let those informant rumors about Jim Jones fade away. And now he's back, stirring the pot again, dragging Jones straight through the mud with so-called receipts, loud and messy as ever. Now, if you've been keeping up with the streets and blogs, you already know Jim Jones has been dodging those heavy informant rumors for a long time. It all kicked off when his name got tangled in the Tekashi 6ix9ine trial after a wiretap leaked where he was allegedly plotting against 6ix9ine. But somehow, when the feds came crashing down on the 9 Trey Bloods, Jim was nowhere near the heat. Jim Jones never got touched. So everybody started asking how he got caught on tape talking serious gang business, but somehow never faced a single charge. Fast forward to now. Cameron and Jim Jones are already beefing heavily, firing shots at each other back and forth online. But just when Jimmy thought the storm couldn't get any worse, the master instigator himself, 50 Cent, pops up with brand new receipts. And according to 50, Jones has secretly been a Fed snitch for years. But is there any real proof that Jim Jones was working with the feds? And how exactly did he clap back at 50 for airing him out so loud? Let's break this madness down. The tension between Dipset OGs Cameron and Jim Jones is boiling up again, and this time, it's looking way too personal.
And I was like, we like Jimmy better than you anyway, Cam. Then you gotta watch and see how he responds. And then, will you see?
He was funny. I thought it was funny when he said, but I didn't think it'd be a big deal because you make up with every nigga that put hands on you. But I see the pattern now. If you don't agree to disagree with you and don't want to take it that route because they got some genuine love for you, you keep going on.
If you've been tuned into the history, then you already know these two have been on a roller coaster. Brothers one minute, bitter rivals the next. Now their long, messy issues are bubbling straight back to the surface. And once again, it all connects to 50 Cent stirring that pot with reckless energy. So, what set all this off? Well, Cameron recently had 50 Cent sitting on his podcast, and during their convo, Cam brought up a moment that's been bothering him for years. He reminded 50 that way back in 2007, during Dipset's ugly beef with G-Unit, Jim Jones randomly popped up at one of 50's shows. And here's what 50 had to say about that wild move. But then Jim Jones slid over to Justin LeBoy's Respectfully podcast to air out his side of the story, and he stood firm on his choice to hit that stage with 50 Cent back in 2007, basically saying he wasn't about to let rap politics mess up his money flow. But Jimmy didn't stop there. He went all the way off on Cam and 50, blasting them for even mentioning his name and boldly claiming both of them owe him a whole lot of favors. Then Jim doubled down, taking full credit for creating the Diplomat's entire aesthetic, bragging that he inspired Cameron's legendary drip and even made him rock that iconic pink fur coat everyone remembers. But you already know Cam wasn't about to let that disrespect slide. He clapped back hard on his and Mace's podcast, and let's just say he went all the way in on Jimmy.
Was not a rapper then.
Right.
He was your man, like on the side, like in the side, just he was not a rapper at all.
Right.
So when balling took place, and I'm looking and I'm going, oh, he having a moment. That's the Lloyd Banks. It's Lloyd Banks thing. He wanted that. He was watching them be that, like Mace be that, and Cam be that, and looked at, and it was finally he had him. He had one. Mm-hmm. And I just looked, and I knew.
Cam didn't just fire back. He questioned Jim's entire Dipset origin story, straight up calling him out for lying about being from Harlem. According to Cam, Jim wasn't some real day one homie. And they weren't growing up together in the trenches like Jim Jones keeps claiming. Cam also wasn't buying Jim's twisted version of history when Jimmy said he watched Mace's son, Cam, after getting signed to Diddy's Bad Boy. Cam shut that down instantly, saying Jim only came around way later, after Cam had already built his name in the 90s, running with Mace, Big L, and his cousin, Bloodshed, as part of their legendary Harlem crew, Children of the Corn. Cam also straight up clowned Jimmy for admitting that Mace was the one who taught him how to rap, making it sound like Jim was nothing more than a little homie just trying to fit in. And for someone like Jones, who takes major pride in his street credibility, that kind of jab has gotta sting badly. Now, when it came to Jimmy's response after Cam put him on blast, instead of clapping back with words, he decided to tease a remix of his Harlem anthem, Still Reppin' Harlem. Jimmy came back heavy, bringing in a whole squad of Harlem powerhouses, including Joel Santana, Votto, Dave East, and even two legends like Gucci. And while Jim didn't outright admit this was a direct response to Cam's slick comments, the streets caught the message immediately and ran with it.
Shot murder to see, because I wasn't sure he was going to go for it. But I was like, we like Jimmy better than you anyway, Cam. Then you got to watch and see how he responds. And then when you see, he like, oh, like that. Hey, give me this. Get me Jimmy. Yeah, tell him we want him. We want you at the show, Jimmy.
But just when it looked like things might finally cool down, 50 Cent popped right back up to stir the pot again. And this time, instead of talking music, he dragged those informant rumors about Jimmy straight back onto the table. 50 hit Instagram with a picture of Jim standing next to Jay-Z, D-Mac, Fat Joe, and more. Then threw gasoline on the fire with his caption, LOL, Individual 1 calling the shots out here. I know you working, so please don't say ish to me. Individual 1. And in case anyone was confused, this was a direct callback to those old whispers that Jim Jones allegedly played Fed informant roles during 6ix9ine's trial. Back when 6ix9ine was up on the stand testifying and snitching on his 9 Trey Bloods affiliates, a wiretapped phone call leaked where Jim Jones was allegedly caught saying 6ix9ine ain't a gang member anymore and needed to get violated. And guess what? 50 made sure to blast that out by sharing the actual transcript of that phone call for everyone to see. Now, for some context, back in 2018, Tekashi 6ix9ine was hit with federal racketeering and firearms charges alongside several members of the 9 Trey Gangsta Bloods, one of the most violent subsets of the entire Bloods gang network. In that case, flipped the rap game upside down.
For me, because it seemed like you won't want to see nobody else win.
Right.
And I need to win. I got to win in spirit.
So,
You heard? I didn't put all this work in for nothing. You dig? I didn't teach myself how to rap for nothing. I didn't jump all on this game to be famous for nothing. I need to capitalize and be just as famous as the most famous, most successful, rich person in this game also. I'm now in the game.
I still gotta know, like, how did that work? You performing, like,
They called me like, yo, you want to come out and perform at the show?
The feds had been building a case on 9 Trey for a long time, and when 6ix9ine finally got caught slipping, he flipped quickly, turning government witness in exchange for a lighter sentence. So during his infamous courtroom snitching spree in September 2019, 6ix9ine testified against his former 9 Trey affiliates, Anthony Harvey Ellison, Algeria Nukamak, and several others, dropping names left and right. He gave the court detailed accounts of gang operations, putting multiple people in serious trouble. Now here's where Jim Jones got dragged into the mess. His name surfaced on wiretap recordings played during 6ix9ine's testimony. In those tapes, Jones was allegedly caught discussing 6ix9ine's situation with another 9 Trey member, which instantly had the streets buzzing with questions. That 9 Trey member was Jamal Mel Murder Jones. In their wiretap conversation, Jim Jones and Mel Murda sounded like they were discussing disciplining 6ix9ine after he publicly tried to distance himself from 9 Trey. Jones allegedly said 6ix9ine needs to be violated, which many people took as a direct call for a potential attack on the rainbow-haired rapper. This tape sent shockwaves through the streets and the industry for 2 major reasons. It proved Jim Jones had direct ties to high-ranking 9 Trey members, and it raised the burning question of why Jim never faced charges. Despite being caught on a federal wiretap allegedly discussing possible retaliation, Jones stayed free. So after the trial, fans and critics alike started demanding answers. How could Jim Jones get caught up in a federal case this deep and remain untouched, while the top 9 Trey members got locked away? Of course, all this fueled wild speculation that Jim Jones might have been acting as a confidential informant, or secretly working with the feds in some way to dodge those charges.
Okay.
For the diplomats. You heard? Dan and Cam's pink. You heard? He'll tell you.
Nah.
All right. Sooner or later, he gonna have to tell it. Where he got the pink from.
And push me under the bus and say, I ain't start this and I ain't do that. And you started pink and you made the diplomats, which is just, if people choose to believe that, then look, I got a Brooklyn bridge
And the loudest push behind these rumors came from none other than Whack 100, who flat out accused Jones of being a federal informant. Whack claimed the only reason Jim never got arrested after that wiretap was because he was already cooperating with law enforcement. Whack doubled down on this in clubhouse rooms, podcasts, and even interviews with 6ix9ine, boldly challenging Jim Jones to prove he wasn't out here working with the feds. Now, Jim, for his part, strongly denied every single one of these allegations, calling Whack a flat-out liar and nothing more than a cloud chaser. But here's the catch. He never directly explained why he wasn't arrested after being caught on those federal wiretaps. And while there's no confirmed evidence that Jim Jones is an informant, he's never been listed as a cooperating witness, nor has any public record shown him testifying or assisting law enforcement. The absence of charges still raises a lot of unanswered questions, and now it looks like 50 Cent struck a nerve because Jim wasted no time clapping back. He fired off by calling 50 a liar, even posting a slick photo of himself lounging by the pool with the caption, "Why you keep on lying? LOL. Jim brushed it off, saying, "I'm going back to sleep. Free mail Matrix 2. It's reversed." But even with Jim denying those informant allegations, a lot of fans still aren't convinced. Every single time this topic pops up, people start side-eyeing and asking the same burning question. How did Jimmy avoid charges when everybody else in 9Tay got taken down? And with 50 Cent constantly trolling and keeping the conversation alive, this fire isn't going out anytime soon. One fan wrote, Jim Jones, a high-ranking gang member telling his cousin, another high-ranking gang member, basically ordering a hit on someone, and the one he told it to got arrested while he didn't? Nah, bro, something stinks in Denmark, and another added. 6ix9ine told the world there were plenty of other snitches, but nobody wanted to listen. Jim brushed it off, saying, "I'm going back to sleep. Free mail Matrix 2. It's reversed."